Level 1. The Arat. You're 5 years old the first time they strap you to a horse. You live on the Eurasian Steppe. It's a massive, unforgiving ocean of grass where the wind feels like it's trying to personally disrespect you. You are an Arat, a common nomad, and your life is a relentless grind. You don't have a permanent address. Your house is a ger, a felt tent that smells like wood smoke and wet wool. You move when the seasons change, because if the sheep don't eat, your family doesn't eat. It's a zero-sum game out here. By the time you're 10, you're pulling a 50-pound draw weight on a recurve bow and hitting a target from the back of a galloping pony. You don't go to school. Your education is survival. You learn how to bleed a horse from the neck to drink its blood when you're stranded without water. You learn how to endure winters that drop to 40 below zero, huddling with your livestock just to catch a little body heat. There is no clout to chase out here, no luxury. You wear sheepskin, you eat boiled mutton, and you drink fermented mazer's milk that burns on the way down. You look at the older men in your tribe, guys with scars mapping their faces, and you realize something very quickly. Weakness is a death sentence. You hustle every single day just to see tomorrow. But you're tough. You're tougher than anyone living behind city walls down south. And pretty soon, the local warlord takes notice. Level 2. The Arban Commander. You're 18 and you've been drafted. The Great Khan has reorganized the entire steppe into a massive military machine, tearing apart old tribal loyalties and building a strict meritocracy. You aren't fighting for your uncle anymore. You're fighting for the empire. Because you're sharp and you don't panic when things go sideways, they make you an Arban Commander. You are now the boss of a 10-man squad. This isn't a casual gig. The accountability is absolute and it is brutal. You guys eat together, sleep together, and fight together. The law is simple. If one guy in your squad runs away from a battle, all 10 of you are executed. If one of you gets captured, the other 9 better die trying to get him back. You are blood brothers now. You spend your days doing intense tactical drills. You practice the feigned retreat, faking a panic to draw the enemy out, only to spin your horses around and absolutely smoke them with arrows. You check their gear every morning. 2 bows, 60 arrows, a lasso, a silk shirt worn under their armor. The silk is a hack. If an arrow hits you, it pushes the silk into the wound, meaning you can pull the arrow out without ripping your flesh to shreds. If someone is lacking gear, it falls on you. You're learning that leadership isn't about giving orders. It's about keeping your crew alive when the sky is raining steel. Level 3. The Khagan Commander. You've survived your first real campaigns. You've ridden into northern China and the Middle East. You've seen cities with walls so high they look like mountains, and you've watched those same walls crumble. You've put in the sweat equity, and now you're a Khagan Commander. You lead 10 Arbans. 100 men. You're basically middle management in the deadliest startup in human history. The stress scales up. You aren't just worried about 10 guys anymore. You're coordinating flanking maneuvers on a battlefield where you can't even hear yourself think over the screaming and the thundering hooves. You direct your troops using black and white signal flags and whistling arrows that shriek through the air to mark targets. You're making decent money now. After a city falls, the loot is divided up mathematically. You're rocking stolen Chinese silk, you've got a silver drinking cup, and you ride a premium stallion. But the grind is wearing on you. Your legs are permanently bowed from riding. You sleep with one eye open, your sword drawn, because the enemies you didn't kill yesterday are definitely looking for you today. You miss the quiet of the steppe, but you can't go back. You're addicted to the adrenaline. The sheer high of watching a numerically superior army break and run just because you outsmarted them. Level 4. The Keshig. Someone high up noticed your stats. They saw you hold the line during a messy ambush in the desert. You get pulled from the regular army and drafted into the Keshig, the elite Imperial Guard. This is the Secret Service, the Delta Force, and the Ivy League of the Mongol Empire all rolled into one. You guard the Khan's literal tent. The prestige is off the charts. As a Keshig, your rank technically outflexes almost everyone in the regular army. A private in the Keshig can boss around a general on the field. You wear heavy, lacquered armor. You carry the finest weapons forged by captive master blacksmiths. But the schedule is a nightmare. You pull night shifts, standing outside the imperial tent in the freezing rain, knowing that if an assassin slips by you, your entire extended family will be wiped off the face of the earth. You are constantly surrounded by the top brass, princes, generals, and foreign diplomats begging for mercy. You see how the sausage is made. You realize that the empire isn't just one with bows and horses. It's maintained by ruthless politics, paranoia, and shifting alliances. You learn to keep your mouth shut and your eyes wide open. You're getting an MBA in global conquest just by standing guard. Level 5. The Mingan Commander. You've graduated out of the Keshig, and they've given you a command of your own. You are a Mingan Commander, running a regiment of 1,000 men. You are no longer just a warrior. You are a logistics manager. Moving 1,000 dudes across a continent is a nightmare. Every man has 3 to 5 remount horses, meaning you are responsible for a herd of 4,000 animals. You have to figure out where they are going to graze, how to source water in a desert, and how to keep morale up when your guys haven't seen their families in 3 years. You are the one who executes the siege tactics. When you pull up to a fortified city, you don't just charge the walls. You capture local peasants and force them to build ramps. Or you use captive engineers to construct massive trebuchets that hurl boulders and plague-ridden corpses over the battlements. It's dark, gritty work. You justify it by telling yourself it's the Khan's will. You start losing sleep. You watch your men die from dysentery more often than from enemy swords. You're making real wealth now, sending chests of gold back to the steppe, but your soul is starting to feel incredibly heavy. You push the feeling down. There's another city to burn tomorrow. Level 6. The Tumen Commander. You are a general. You command Tumen, a massive division of 10,000 riders. You are operating on a scale that most people can't even comprehend. You don't fight in the vanguard anymore. You sit on a hill overlooking the battlefield with a network of messengers waiting for your word. You are playing chess with human lives. You are trusted to operate independently. The Great Khan points at a map, tells you to conquer a kingdom the size of modern-day Russia, and leaves you to figure it out. You use psychological warfare as your primary weapon. You order your men to tie branches to their horses' tails to kick up massive dust clouds, making the enemy think your army is 5 times larger than it is. You wipe out entire cities that refuse to surrender, leaving pyramids of skulls as a message to the next city down the road. It's calculated terrorism, and it works. Cities start surrendering before you even show up. But the stress of command is isolating. Your old buddies, the guys you rode with back when you were an Arban commander, are either dead or looking at you differently. You are the boss now. Every mistake you make costs thousands of lives. You wake up in cold sweats, hearing the sounds of the sieges echoing in your head. But in the morning, you put your helmet on and act like a god of war, because 10,000 men are waiting for you to tell them who to kill. Level 7. The Noyan. Your fighting days are mostly over. Your body is wrecked. You've got arrow scars on your ribs, a persistent limp from a horse rolling on your leg, and arthritis in your bow hand. You are a Noyan, the elite nobility. The empire has conquered so much territory that they need smart guys to actually run it. They give you a province in Persia or China. You trade your armor for silk robes. You live in a palace that used to belong to a king you personally executed. Your job is administration. You oversee the collection of tribute, manage trade along the Silk Road, and ensure the locals don't rebel. You are drowning in bureaucracy. You sit in meetings with scholars, merchants, and local politicians who are trying to flatter you while secretly skimming off the top of the tax revenue. You implement the Pax Mongolica, the Mongol peace. The laws are so strict that a person could walk across the entire empire with a sack of gold on their head without being robbed. You are insanely rich. You eat exotic fruits, drink wine from silver goblets, and have an army of servants. But you hate it. You stare out the window of your palace at the manicured gardens, and you miss the smell of the open steppe. You've traded your freedom for an empire, and you realize you can never buy it back. Level 8. The Orlog. You aren't just a noble. You are a living legend. You are an Orlog, the highest military rank possible, sitting right below the royal family. You are the equivalent of a modern-day 4-star general, a tactical genius on the level of Subutai or Jebei. You don't just command a Tumen. You command entire theater-level campaigns involving hundreds of thousands of troops. You invade Europe, completely dismantling the heavy cavalry of knights who thought their iron armor would protect them. You lure them into the mud, string them out, and destroy them with mathematical precision. Your name makes kings in Paris and the Pope in Rome physically shake with fear. But behind closed doors, you are an old man holding it all together with duct tape and willpower. Your body is failing. You are so battered from a lifetime of war that you can't even ride a horse anymore. You have to be carried in a wagon. You sit in strategy meetings, coughing, wrapping yourself in furs, looking at young, hungry generals who think they know better than you. You let them talk, and then you quietly correct their battle plans with a single flawless observation that shuts the entire tent down. You know your time is short, but you refuse to die in a bed. You want to die breathing the dust of one last conquered nation. Level 9, the Regional Khan. You are royal blood, a direct descendant of Genghis Khan. You rule one of the 4 massive chunks of the fractured empire, maybe the Golden Horde in Russia, or the Ilkhanate in the Middle East. You have secured the bag to the highest possible degree. Millions of people pay you taxes. You have courts filled with astronomers, poets, engineers, and diplomats. But your life is defined by toxic family drama. Your cousins rule the other pieces of the empire, and you all have serious beef. The unity of the old days is gone. Now, you are fighting border wars with your own blood relatives over trade routes. You spend millions of gold coins funding armies to kill other Mongols. Your court is a snake pit. You can't trust your tea, you can't trust your wives, and you definitely can't trust your brothers. You attend the Kurultai, the great political council, where the family gathers to elect the next supreme leader. It's the most high-stakes corporate board meeting in the world. Getting outvoted doesn't mean getting fired. It means getting poisoned, or having your spine broken so your royal blood doesn't touch the dirt. You project absolute power, but your paranoia is exhausting. You are a king in a golden cage, surrounded by people waiting for you to blink. Level 10. The Khagan. You are the boss of bosses. The Khagan, the supreme ruler of the largest contiguous land empire in human history. Your territory stretches from the Pacific Ocean to the edge of Europe. When you speak, the entire world shifts. When you write a letter to the Pope or foreign emperors, you don't ask for alliances. You demand absolute submission, or you promise total annihilation. You live in a massive capital city. You have wealth that cannot be quantified and absolute authority over life and death. But you are the loneliest person on the planet. Nobody tells you the truth anymore. Your advisors just tell you what they think will keep their heads attached to their necks. You sit on a throne, drowning in administrative paperwork, managing the macroeconomics of the Silk Road, dealing with inflation and famine. You look around the opulence of your court, the silk, the jade, the imported spices, and you realize the empire has gotten soft. They prefer palaces to tents. You know what happens to empires that get soft. The rot has already started. You are an old man now. You wake up before dawn because your body forgets how to sleep. You walk out to a private courtyard, away from the guards. You feel a cold wind blow in from the north, carrying the faint scent of the distant steppe. You close your eyes. You remember being a kid, 5 years old, shivering in a felt tent, clutching the reins of a pony, hungry and scared, but completely free. You traded that freedom for the world. You're not sure if it was a good trade. Somewhere, thousands of miles away on the freezing plains, a 5-year-old kid is being strapped to a horse for the first time. The wind is biting at his face. He has no idea about the politics, the gold, the sieges, or the burden of the throne. He just knows the bow is heavy, the horse is fast, and he has to hustle if he wants to survive. He has no idea what his life will cost him, what he will destroy, or what he will build. He'll figure it out. They always do. The cycle continues.